everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then just welcome, and I'm super happy to see you here. Today I'm out with yet another crochet tutorial, and this time it's going to be one of crochet hacks, so I hope that you will find it useful. And today basically I will be teaching you how to do foundation stitches, and I will teach you it for double crochet, half double crochet and single crochet. I already shared this hack on my Instagram account and some of you requested that I would prepare a more detailed video, so here it is. And just to give you a little bit more of an intro, so basically foundation stitches are something that you can use if you don't want to do chains and then go all the way back. And in many cases, I'm sure that all of us have experienced that we are a couple of stitches short, then this is a perfect solution for you. So I really hope that you will find this video useful. But now without further ado, let's jump into it. So here I have some yarn, and first we will be starting with foundation double crochet. So our first step basically, as always, is to create a slip knot. So I'm just doing that. And here I have my loop, so I'm just putting it on my crochet hook and adjusting the size like that. And then our first step is to chain 3, so 1, 2 and 3, and this chain of 3 is going to count as our first stitch. So if you don't want this part to count as a stitch, you're also welcome to do just 2 chains. And after that we can begin with these foundation stitches. So our first step is to yarn over as we would normally do for double crochet, and then we are just going through this first chain that we have here. Then we are grabbing yarn and pulling it through, and in this case we are slightly extending this last loop to make it a little bit longer. Then again we are yarning over and going through only this first loop like this. So we again have 3 loops on our hook, and then we are yarning over and pulling through the first 2 like that, and then yarning over and pulling through remaining 2 like that, as we would normally do for a double crochet. So this is how it looks with the first stitch, and then after that we can proceed with doing the next one. So again we just have to yarn over, and then we are going through these 2 loops here that we have at the bottom. So later you would notice that it kind of looks like a V shape. So we are just going through these ones, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through, and again extending it, then yarning over and pulling through the first loop like this, and then just regular double crochet stitches. So yarning over and pulling through the first 2, yarning over and pulling through remaining 2 like this. So this is one foundation double crochet stitch that we have just created. So let's do another one together. So again, yarning over, going through this bottom part, so the V shape that we have here at the bottom like this. Then we are just grabbing yarn and pulling through here and extending, yarning over and pulling through the first one, and then pulling through pairs of 2, so 1 and 2 like this. So this is how it looks once I have created a few of these stitches, and basically now you can just keep on repeating this process until you have created as many stitches as you wish, or whatever number is needed for the project that you are working on, like that. So this is how it looks so far. So basically the difference between doing stitches in chains is that in this way you're kind of building your way up instead of working in rows. But this is basically how you do these foundation double crochets. And this is what I mean with the V shape at the bottom. So here, when I have done already multiple of these foundation stitches, you can see that this V shape is a little bit more pronounced. So basically you can see it a little bit better, especially also if you turn your work like properly on with the bottom up. But now let's try it out for half double crochet. So again, I'm just starting with a slip knot like this, and then just grabbing my hook and adjusting size of this loop. And then for half double crochet we have to do 2 chains, so 1 and 2, and again this chain of 2 can count as your first stitch, so that's up to you. And then we can proceed further with the first one. So for half double crochet we have to yarn over, and then we are going through this first chain that we have here like that, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through and slightly extending this loop that that we have here. And then we are just yarning over and pulling through the very first, like this, and then yarning over and pulling through all 3 loops as we would normally do for half double crochet. So this is our first stitch, and then we can proceed further with the next one. So again, yarning over, then going through this bottom part, so basically this V shape that we have here, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through and extending this first one like this, then yarning over and pulling through the first loop like that, and then yarning over and pulling through all 3 like this. So this is another foundation half double crochet, and this is basically the process. So let's do one more, yarning over, going through the bottom part of this kind of like the V shape that we have here, like that, and then yarning over, pulling through, extending, again yarning over and pulling through the first one, yarning over and pulling through all 3 like this. So here I have already done a couple of these foundation half double crochets, so just keep on going and repeating this process until you have created or reached the desired length that you want for your project or the piece that you are working on. And now let's do another one for single crochet. So again, starting with a slip knot as we would normally do, and then adjusting this loop. And then our first step actually is also to do 2 chains. So 1 and 2, and for this case it's still 2 chains because we cannot basically work this out with just having 1 chain. And then to begin, we don't yarn over because for single crochet we don't do that, and we are just going through this first chain here, then grabbing yarn and pulling it up and slightly extending it, then yarning over and pulling through this first loop only, then again we have 2 loops, then yarning over and pulling through both of them like this. So that is 1 single crochet foundation stitch, and then to add another one you are just right away going through these bottom loops here, then grabbing yarn and extending it, then yarning over and going through the first one, yarning over again and going through both loops like this. So another single crochet is added. And let's do another one. So going through the bottom loops like this, then grabbing yarn and pulling it up and extending, yarning over and pulling through the first one, yarning over and pulling through both like this. So this is how you are creating single crochet foundation stitches. But now let's say that you don't like this method and you prefer doing chains, and you have done your chains and then gone all the way back and done stitches in each of them, and then you actually realize that you are missing a couple of stitches. So the tip from here is that you're actually able to add stitches, like extra stitches, after you have come here to an end. And to do that you basically just have to follow the process that I taught you. So here I have double crochets, and then if I wanted to add a couple of extra here, like further to make this row a little bit longer, I just follow these steps. So yarning over, going through this bottom bit that I have here, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through and extending, then yarning over and pulling through the first one like this, and then yarning over and pulling through 2, yarning over and pulling through 2. So as you can see, I have now added an extra stitch here, and let's just add another one. So again, just yarning over and going through this bottom part here, grabbing yarn, pulling it through and extending, yarning over, pulling through 1, yarning over, pulling through 2, and pulling through the last 2 like this. So this is how it looks, and I have basically added 2 extra stitches for this row. So this is a super useful tip just in case if you have miscalculated or if you're just realizing that you're missing some stitches. And here I have both of these types of double crochets side by side. So as you can see, they are very similar in the look, and I'm sure that once your project is finalized, no one would be able to recognize what is what. So just pick the method that you prefer the most and that works for you the best for whatever project you are working on. So that is basically it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found this crochet hack useful. However, if you have any further questions, then just feel free to reach out in the comment section below and I will try to help you from there. And also, if you have other requests for other different crochet hacks or tips and tricks, then just let me know and I will try to prepare a video for that as well. But otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, then please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're new here, then please subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!